Have you ever stopped to think about something so basic, you just take it for granted? I mean, why do we have two eyes? Not one, not three, two. It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer is actually incredible, and it tells us so much about how our brains literally build the world we see. So let's get into it. And to really get a feel for this, we're going to kick things off with a super quick, interactive experiment. You ready? Okay, seriously, try this with me right now. Hold your hands out in front of you and point your two index fingers at each other. Now, cover one of your eyes. Go on. And now, try to bring the tips of your fingers together smoothly on the first try. It's weirdly difficult, doesn't it? You might overshoot it or miss completely. Everything just feels, well, flat. Now, open both eyes and try it again. Boom! Easy. That little moment of clumsiness you just felt, that right there shows you everything about the power of having a second eye. So what's the deal? Why does adding that one extra eye make such a huge difference? Let's break it all down. All right, so the first and most obvious reason is really just about simple geometry. It all comes down to how much of the world you can actually see at once without having to turn your head. So with just one eye open, that's called monocular vision, you get a field of view that's about 150 degrees. And yeah, that's pretty wide, but you can clearly see there are some pretty big blind spots. But the moment you open that second eye, everything changes. Our total field of view expands to a nice, wide 180 degrees. And look closely here. See that big overlapping area in the middle? That's the jackpot. That's not just extra scenery, that's where the real magic is happening. So just by adding that second eye, we gain an extra 30 degrees of peripheral vision. Now, that might not sound like a ton, but from an evolutionary standpoint, spotting danger or food out of the corner of your eye, that's a massive, massive advantage. But just seeing wider is really only half the story. The truly mind-bending advantage isn't about width at all. It's about depth. This is where our brain pulls off its coolest trick, its very own 3D superpower. So the technical term for this is binocular vision. It's basically our ability to use both of our eyes together to focus on one thing. But it's so much more than just having two eyes looking in the same direction. It's the setup for an amazing illusion that turns our flat world into a rich 3D space. You know, this quote from Thoreau just hits it perfectly. Our eyes, they're just looking. They're the cameras. But our brain is doing the seeing. It's taking two separate flat images and creating something way, way bigger than the sum of its parts. And this superpower has a name. It's called stereopsis. This is the absolute key to the whole thing. It's the process your brain uses to stitch together two slightly different pictures into one single 3D image with real depth. That's why you couldn't touch your fingers together. With one eye closed, you lost your stereopsis. So how does this magic trick actually work? Well, it's a pretty slick three-step process. First, because your eyes are a couple of inches apart, they each see the world from a slightly different angle, capturing two different 2D images. Second, both of those images get sent straight to the back of your brain. And third, and this is the incredible part, your brain compares the tiny differences between those two flat pictures, instantly calculates all the distances, and fuses them together into the rich 3D world you're seeing right now. All of that happens in a split second. Okay, so we have a wider view of the world, and we have amazing 3D vision. But wait, there's one more really crucial reason we have two eyes, and it's one we don't often think about. It's our built-in backup plan. Seriously, think about it. Having a spare is like the ultimate biological insurance policy. In the wild, an eye injury is a pretty common thing. Losing vision in one eye is bad, for sure, but losing your sight completely, that could be a death sentence. Our second eye makes sure that if one gets damaged, we can still see, we can still navigate the world, and we can still survive. So let's just pull all of this together. Let's do a quick recap of why our two eyes are just so perfectly designed to be our window to the world. At the end of the day, it all boils down to these three massive advantages. You've got that wider field of view, which lets you see more of your surroundings. You've got stereopsis, which is the brain's secret sauce for true depth perception. And you've got redundancy, that absolutely critical backup plan for survival. And when you put all three of those things together, what you get is the incredible visual experience of being human. It's not a flat movie playing in front of us. It's a stable, unbelievably detailed, and fully three-dimensional model of reality that we can reach out and interact with.
So, our forward facing eyes are perfectly optimized for one thing above all else: depth perception. It's the perfect setup for a predator that needs to know exactly how far away its next meal is. But that leaves us with one last, really interesting question to chew on. If this setup is so great, why do so many prey animals, like rabbits and horses, have their eyes on the sides of their heads? What could they possibly gain from that?